This past August, I went to watch a production of Abraham and Sarah. It thrilled me. I came away excited about a new musical. Now, maybe the reason I came away excited about a new musical is because it's really a musical comedy. I like that style of playing, drama, and so forth. And I think you will agree after you've heard a little more about Abraham and Sarah and about Cathy Ellis, the young lady that wrote it, produced it. How did you get interested in Abraham and Sarah?
It was in 1980, and I first began to read through Genesis, and I was reading about their story, Abraham and Sarah, and what struck me was the fact that Abraham had this vision, and he went to Sarah with it, and by this point she was, according to Scripture, I believe in her 70s, and a very beautiful 70, right? She was so beautiful that a pharaoh and later a king desired her. But he had this vision of wanting to have this nation, and she said, fine, great, here's Hagar, my handservant, have your nation. So I knew this was a rather bold woman. And then as I'm reading along further, it talks about the sacrifice. Well, here is her 12-year-old son, who she waited for until she was 91 to finally have. Abraham takes him up to a mountain and is going to sacrifice him. And it doesn't say Sarah's reaction. It just said God provided a ram and ta-da, right?
Yeah.
Well, after reading Sarah's reaction with Hagar, I thought, you know, this woman is just not going to sit there and say, isn't that wonderful?
Go to sacrifice my son.
That's right.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful? Praise the Lord.
So the first song that happened was the sacrifice. And in the scene we have in the show, Sarah's sitting there, you know, it's a beautiful day, isn't this wonderful? And the kid shows up, torn to shreds from running all the way home through the thicket and smelling a little bit like burnt wood. and he's hiccuping from nerves and all upset. My father just tried to kill me. And I don't think that she would have reacted, as I say, you know, like, isn't that wonderful, dear? And so she storms around the stage and sings the sacrifice. And so that's really how it began.
A moment ago, we were laughing and joking about Sarah, and someone can watch and say, hey, they're making fun, but this is a serious production.
Absolutely.
It is serious,
Very.
And Sarah was serious, and the whole message of it is the message of God reaching down and touching a woman's life.
That's right.
Right. Okay.
But it's not just her life.
I know. Okay. I sat there and felt with Sarah as this ragged boy comes in. Hey, Dad, we're going to put me over on that altar. And that word altar has sort of an important part in the production, does it not?
My view of Sarah is that she was the practical one, with the feet on the ground, and Abraham was the spiritual one. And her first entrance into the musical is she looks off stage and catches a view of Abraham building a rock pile. That's what she calls them. And Lot informs her it's an altar. But to Sarah, it's
a rock pile.
It's a rock pile.
Okay, you know, it's moving. I was interested in the historical facts, the accuracy of the program. We've talked about the comedy of it.
That's right.
It's comedy, okay?
Right.
It's seriousness. But it's accurate. Where did you go for resource material?
Well, I went to the top.
You can't beat that.
I really did. I tried to stay as close to the Scripture as possible. One thing that is very moving in the show is about Ishmael. A lot of people say, well, yes, he was Abraham's firstborn son. But they missed the part that Abraham had to send him away.
Yeah.
And it's very sad. God has a way of working out a happy ending. And there's one little scripture, and I've shared this with other pastors. There's one line, and I believe it's in verse 9 in the chapter of Genesis where Abraham dies. In that verse it says that Ishmael and Isaac buried their father together.
You know, I've read it many times, but I've never read that statement.
Right, and I think that this is something that God just might use, even in relationship to what's happening in the Middle East, you know.
Let me share something with you so that the people watching will know how important Abraham was.
Yes.
I have been to Hebron, or Hebron, whichever way you want to call it, many times, where Abraham is buried. Now watch. Abraham is buried in a place that is now occupied by the Jewish people, but he is guarded by the Arabs or the Muslims, and he's visited by the Christians. Now that's influence, isn't it?
That certainly
The Muslims call him father. The Jewish people call him father. The Christians call him father.
That's right.
That's how important Abraham is, and I think you bring out this very well. Let me ask you this. How would a Jewish person feel coming to see Abraham and Sarah?
Well, I think they'd enjoy it thoroughly. As a matter of fact, I went to an Orthodox rabbi with the show. I wanted to have a show that was correct with the Jewish heritage, too. And so I went to my wonderful friend, Rabbi Weberman, who's an Orthodox rabbi, and he listened to the show and he loved it. And he said it's quite a teaching piece, as well as enjoyable family entertainment. That's what we're looking at. It's good, wholesome family entertainment that glorifies and honors God.
It is accurate with the Scripture. It is honoring the father of the Jewish people.
That's right.
And in no way would they be offended by coming to this production. I can assure them. Okay, just from the human perspective, looking at it from the fact that the father of the Muslim religion, the father of the Jewish religion, the father of the Christian faith, because we trace our roots, we feel, to Abraham. You certainly have a broad audience out there.
That's right.
I don't know of any religious, well, there's no other religious production that would capture that many people as the story of Abraham and Sarah. We've been talking with Cathy Ellis, and we've been talking about the fact that this production of Abraham and Sarah has such a wide audience. And we would like to take the opportunity to invite you to see this production. We believe that if you see it, you'll not only rejoice and feel your spirit lifted, but we believe that you'll want to get your church involved in seeing a production like this. We invite you to hear the production of Abraham and Sarah, and you have listened to Cathy Ellis, the author of this production. We want you there. And we want you to also to remember that Jesus Christ said, before Abraham was, I am, meaning that he was there all the while. And this same Christ that lived and died wants to live in your life. And he can do that today. Give him your heart and life. Trust him and walk with him.